Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, or if this is your first time here, welcome to my channel and welcome to today's video. I'm sorry if the lighting is a little bit off. I do use natural lighting and I've never filmed this early in the morning. The boys are at camp, if you guys are like familiar with my vlogs and everything. The boys are at camp today, and so I'm filming at 10:20 in the morning, and this is the earliest I filmed, I think, since college or like being pregnant. So if the lighting is off or kind of changed throughout the video, the sun is still rising, so please excuse that. But today's video, I'm going to be sharing my experience flying alone with my twin toddlers. They are 2.5, but I did start flying with them when they were around, I think they were like 18 months old, and I had really no video to reference online. I had no idea what I was getting myself into flying with them, and I think that is why the first time I flew with them, it was such a shock and honestly a little bit of a disaster. I have vlogged every single time I have flown with them, so I will link our little like travel vlogs up here if you guys want to reference those and go back and watch my different experiences. But I wish there was a video like this online where I could hear another mom's tips and tricks with flying with not even twins, but just like toddlers and babies in general. I had no idea what to expect, no idea what I was getting myself into, so I definitely wanted to sit down and film a video like this, especially since I have flown with someone else with them. I've flown by myself now with them. I feel like I have a few tips and tricks up my sleeve, some gear that I definitely recommend, things that I don't recommend. I just wanted to put this video out there for anybody who is looking to fly with their toddlers or with twins and just needs something to reference. That is what I'm hoping my video can be for you guys. So I tried to break this video up into different categories. It might be a little bit all over the place. I will try and put some timestamps. Maybe that'll help you guys with watching this video. I didn't really know how to lay it out. I'm basically going to go through my experience flying with them alone this past time. I will reference flying with someone else. I will reference items that I recommend, kind of just what my thought process is and how I tackled the flying process with them. And I know every airport is different. I am from New York and I flew out of JFK, which is one of like the biggest airports. It's like the biggest one in New York, I think. It's an international airport, and I've also flown out of a smaller airport here. So just keep that in mind that I do fly mainly out of New York, JFK, and when I fly down to Florida, I've only ever flown down to Florida. That's where my parents live. I flew into West Palm Beach. So if you're familiar with those airports, kind of picture those in your head. But if you're not, I hope that this can also apply to the airports you fly from. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the video. If you guys do enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed already, I would appreciate you heading on down there and doing so and joining my little community here. If you guys are unfamiliar, my name is Jen. I have twin toddlers, like I mentioned, 2 boys, they're 2.5. Their names are Jack and Ben, and I put up videos every Monday and Friday. I feel like I never say that in my videos, and I always just assume people are here for the long haul and have been around for a really long time. But I do upload new videos every Monday and Friday, and my videos are just like lifestyle content as a young mom of twins. So with that being said, let's jump into the video. So I'm going to start with how I maneuvered through the airport, kind of my thought process with maneuvering through the airport and what I did to do so. I also am drinking my coffee this morning, so if you see me sipping something, it's just some coffee, as I just poured it all over my computer. So I'm going to start with how I got to the airport by myself with the boys with all our different bags. So hold on, I just lost my little list. So whenever I fly with the boys, I do check a suitcase, and I do check one suitcase. I mean, checking multiple suitcases really wouldn't make much of a difference because you're checking them anyway. But every time I've flown with the boys, I've packed just one suitcase for both of us. My mom is always like, I don't know how you did that. I'm an overpacker. And I feel like I used to be an overpacker, but now being a mom, I focus on the boys' things and not really my own. So I usually just pack one suitcase, and I do check that to just get that off my person. So that is always checked. Then I always like to bring a backpack diaper bag. This makes it very easy and hands-free to just throw on your back and walk through the airport with it. The one that I have is from Fawn Design, and I got it back at like my baby shower. I've had it for over 2 years now, and it is still in great condition. I bring that thing with me everywhere, and it's super spacious. I recommend a spacious, wearable diaper bag. That is going to make it the easiest to maneuver with a stroller. For me, I have twins, so I use a double stroller, and even though the one that I use is a little bulky, I believe it's the City Jogger something like that. I will put it up on the screen, and everything that I talk about I will link down below for you guys so you're able to find these things and shop them if you are interested. But I do use a double stroller, and even though it's a little bit bulky, I like the one that I bring with me because it is super easy to break down. It's just like one quick maneuver of pulling the two little straps and it breaks down very easily, and that's what I was looking for, and that's what I do like when flying, especially when I'm flying alone with the boys, because the transition from the stroller to getting on the airplane is super easy that way. I could just take the boys out, collapse it in one fell swoop, and then put it at the gate to check. I do check my stroller at the gate, like right when we're about to board the airplane. That is where I check it. So I like the double stroller that I have. I like it because it is very sturdy. There is good room underneath if you are to put some things, but I've never put anything underneath the stroller. What I do is wear my diaper bag. Like I said, I have the double stroller, and on the stroller, I put two little hooks that I got off of Amazon. And on those hooks, I clip the boys' bags. Each boy gets their own bag. And I've done this since the beginning, even when they were very little. They each got their own little bag that contained their snacks, their sippy cup, and some toys for them. This helped when I was flying with someone else because that person who was sitting with that baby would have their own bag with everything they need for that baby. We didn't have to kind of talk back and forth over other people. It was simple just to have them have that bag for that baby. But even when flying alone with them, it was easy just to have everything split up between each of the boys so that I knew everything was accounted for and each boy had enough snacks, enough toys, their sippy cup, everything like that. And those I do hook on to the stroller. I know it's not recommended to hook bags onto your stroller, mainly because there's a fear of the stroller flipping over, but the small backpacks that I used for the boys are very light. Even when packed with snacks and toys, they're under like 3 pounds, probably super light. So I do hook those onto the stroller so that that is also hands-free and I don't have to worry about it. And I can also keep my eye on them and see them as I'm pushing the stroller. I can see their 2 bags sitting there. And the ones that I use were gifted from the boys' father's sister, so their aunt. When they were born or shortly thereafter, they're like monogrammed backpacks, but you can find small toddler backpacks anywhere basically. I'll link a few options from Amazon down below if you guys are interested. But I liked the boys each having their own bags so that I knew that they had snacks and all that kind of stuff, and it was very easily accessible. So that's 3 bags so far. Then this time around, flying alone with the boys, I definitely wish I started doing this earlier, but I just didn't have one. I wore a crossbody bag, and the one that I wore is also from Amazon. I love that thing. It's super spacious. Previously, whenever I would fly, I would have like my phone and not know where to put it, or my passport, boarding passes, keys, all that kind of stuff, and I would throw it into another backpack that I'll talk about in a second, and it would float, the stuff would float to the bottom and get lost, and then I would be panicking that I left my phone somewhere, left my keys somewhere, I wasn't able to find it. It just made for more anxiety than I needed. And so this time around, especially since I was flying along with them, I wore my crossbody bag across me, and in there I kept gum, my keys, my wallet is like attached to my keys. It's a little card holder that had, you know, credit cards and everything. I put my passport in there, masks just in case. Trying to think what else I had in there. Some candy for the boys that was very easily accessible for me to pop to them to keep them happy at security. And then of course I put my phone in there and then zipped that up, and that was on my chest, and I wore that the entire time, even on the airplane. It just made my phone super accessible. It made it more hands-free. I didn't have to worry about where I put my phone or where I put my things. I highly recommend some sort of like fanny pack, crossbody, you know, wearable bag like that, that is super accessible, especially if you're a mom, because you know, our minds are always going. And so I would put my phone down somewhere, not remember where I put it, stress out over that. It just kind of cuts out all that stress of like worrying about where my things are. All the super important things, I did put my, or like have our boarding passes on my phone. But if I didn't, if I had like physical copies of those, I would have stuck those in there so that when I push up to the gate to go board the airplane, I could pop them out, scan them, pop them back in, and have them on me. So I highly recommend that. So that is 4 bags so far, 1 for each baby, wearable diaper bag on my back, and then the crossbody bag on my chest. And then for me, since I am a YouTuber, I do bring my computer with me everywhere that I go somewhere, chargers, phone charger. The boys do have their own iPads. They did not have these the first 2 times flying, but then they wound up getting them for their birthday, and so the last like 4 times we've flown, I did bring the iPads with me, and I would put those and my computer and all our chargers in my JanSport backpack. Again, another super easy wearable bag. I would actually just put it on kind of like the front of me, just like one strap, so it hung like right here. Everything I just had on me, and it was super easy to walk through the airport that way and know I had everything accounted for and that I wasn't losing any bag. But I put all of our electronics in a bag like that so that when I got to security, I could take all those out because you need to put large electronics in a bin for them to scan and everything like that. I put all of our electronics in one bag so that I could pop those out for security and then throw them back in there, and knew that that bag was just like our electronics bag. So that is why I had that. So all in all, I would have diaper bag on my back, crossbody bag on my front, electronics backpack on my side, and then the 2 bags for the boys clipped onto the stroller. Of course, have the boys in the stroller, and I would push the double stroller through the airport, and it was very easy, I would say. Even when I had someone else with me, I've had my grandma fly with me, and my sister and my mom, and then their dad fly with me. It was just easier for me to have everything accounted for because other people have like their own things to worry about in an airport. So I just liked having everything wearable and like easily accessible. So that is how I maneuvered through the airport. I did want to mention that the first 4 times that I'm just making sure I'm hitting all my talking points. The first 4 times that I flew with the boys, I did bring their car seats. Now, when they are young, under 2, kids are lap infants, or they can sit in a seat with a car seat. And having twins, I knew I couldn't have both of them sit on my lap. And the first time I flew, I was with my grandma, and I didn't really want the baby sitting on her the whole time. So I've always gotten the boys their own seats, even when they were under 2. And the first few times, the first 4 times, we did bring their car seats. The first time I ever flew with car seats, it was a complete disaster. Again, I will link those videos up here for you guys to kind of see like my live reaction to everything. That was very hectic, to say the least. I didn't know that I had to physically carry the car seat throughout the airport. I thought I was able to check it and then they would bring it to the gate for me. Again, this is like where the lack of information out there comes from. I feel like I tried to Google this and figure this out before getting on the airplane, but there was just no information out there. So if you plan on bringing a car seat, you need to carry it through the airport. And like I mentioned, I flew out of one of the biggest international airports in New York. My lips are kind of chapped. JFK. That airport is huge. And so my grandma, my little tiny grandma, if you guys know her from vlogs, and I had everything I just talked about, stroller, bags, babies. She had her stuff, and we had to lug the car seats through the airport. Thankfully, there were some nice people who helped get the car seats through security and kind of just helped in times of panic when I was completely freaking out and had no idea what to do. Once I got down to Florida, I figured out that there are options that make this easier. You can get a bag to put your car seat in to wear it on your back. But like I said, I was flying with me and my little old grandma, and so that didn't make sense. They're like suitcase, I forget what they're called, like little like trolley, I can't think of the word right now. I will put up on the screen the one that I have. I will also link some down below. I wound up buying one of those, and to fly home, I configured our car seats on it, and we were able to push the car seats through the airport, and that made that a lot easier. The main issue with bringing car seats for me is that the car seats that I have for the boys are the new Naravas, and they are 37 pounds, I think, either 27 pounds or 37 pounds. And so they are very heavy and very, very bulky, which made the whole process of not only getting it to the airplane, but getting it on the airplane very, very difficult. With 2 children I had to worry about, all my bags and everything like that. It was always just super hectic. So the first time I flew down, hectic as hell. Second time I flew back, we had the cart, it was a little bit easier, but getting the car seats on the airplane was still very hard. Third time that I flew back down to Florida, same thing. I had the car seats, I had them on the cart. It was easy to get them to the gate, and it was just getting them on the airplane that was super hard. And then the 4th time I flew, where we flew back home from Florida, my boyfriend and I actually decided to just check the boys' car seats, even though we paid for seats for them, and just have them sit on our laps because they were still like under 2. I think they had like just turned 2. But we had them just sit on our laps and kind of scrap the idea of car seats on an airplane. The last time that I flew with the boys, this past time that I flew completely alone with them, I did not even check car seats. I wound up buying car seats from Walmart and shipping them down to my mom. And the ones that I got, I believe they're called the Costco Sonera Next car seat or something like that. Again, everything will be linked down below. It was $59 from Walmart. And honestly, I wish I had bought those and was able to bring them on the plane with me in the past. Those car seats are 10 pounds, but compared to the Nunaravas, I could pick it up with one hand. I showed you guys in a vlog from Florida. I will link that for you guys. Also, if you guys want to see me talk about the car seat more, it was so extremely light. It was airplane compatible. I know some car seats aren't. Like, I don't think all car seats are airplane compatible. These ones were. And I truly believe if I had these flying there like the first few times, it would not have been as hectic because they were so light. I could have gotten a car seat bag. I could have put it on my back. My boyfriend could have put it on their back. My mom, my sister, even my grandma, this thing was so light. Or we could have done the same thing where we put it on the little like trolley. I don't know why I can't think of the name, like a little cart. And it would have just been so easy to get those on the airplane because they're so extremely light. But like I said, I bought them, I shipped them down to my mom, and so I did not have to worry about car seats at all. She put them in her car, and when she picked us up from the airport, they were already in her car. But I know that's not always the case. You're not always flying to go see family. You know, you have to bring your car seats on the airplane with you to get to the place where you're going to be able to use them. So I highly recommend, unless you already have something figured out and sorted out with the car seat you currently have, a lot of convertible car seats for the cars, the pricey ones, the Nunas, the, you know, upscale ones, they are heavy. So I recommend spending the little extra money. I mean, it makes sense if you have one baby, it would just be $59, but even with two, it was like $100 and something for the two car seats from Walmart. They're so light, they're so like agile, easy to move around. I found that they worked perfectly well in my mom's car for the kids. I think they go up to like 40 pounds or 50 pounds and 40 inches. I will put the dimensions and everything down below, link them so you guys can read up on them. But if you are flying with your toddler or your baby and you don't know what you're going to do as far as car seats go, look into this Costco car seat. It's so light. I genuinely think it would have made flying with the car seats a lot smoother than it was with my 30-something pound Nunaravas. But yeah, so this last time that I flew, I didn't have car seats with me. The boys sat in their own seats because they are 2.5 now. And when I got down there, I had those car seats. But even if you check those car seats, they would just be so easy to, you know, pick up from baggage and get into the car that is picking you up. I also kind of find that buying a cheaper car seat, you know, if it gets damaged, getting checked, you don't feel as bad as like $100, $200, $300, $400 something car seat. I think our Nunaravas are like $499 or something like that. And if that ever got damaged, I'd be very, very upset. But yeah, so that is my whole car seat situation, kind of going through it. What I learned, you know, you can bring something to help you get your car seats through the airport. That little cart thing was very easy. I think they make like exact ones for car seats. I believe ours was just like a suitcase cart thing. I don't know why I can't think of the word for it right now. And then it came with like bungee cords, and we wrapped the car seats with the bungee cords and held them on there. But I think there are ones for car seats. You can get the bags to put them on your back. I think you can even get like bags that you put your car seat in and it wheels like a suitcase. So there are options to get your car seats through the airport to the airplane. Then you have to worry about how you're getting the car seat onto the airplane, and if it's a heavy, bulky car seat, that kind of adds some difficulty to it, especially if you are a parent of multiples and you're flying completely alone, or even if you're just a mom with one baby flying completely alone. It is a little bit hectic to get the car seat onto the airplane. So I just recommend look for a lighter, easier, cheaper car seat for travel. Even though you're spending more money on something, it kind of works out in the long run. So that's everything as far as maneuvering through the airport, getting onto the airplane, and everything like that. I'm going to backtrack a little bit and talk about what I do before the flight to kind of prepare the boys for the flight, or just pass time at the gate. So I highly recommend when you get to your gate, finding my little sweater's falling off, finding a little area where there's room for your toddler to run and play. Luckily for me, every gate I've been in, every time that I've flown, I feel like I've always chosen like earlier flights. Even our later flights out of like Florida, those gates are very spacious. I've always been able to find some room for the boys to run and play, and that helps them get their energy out before they even get on the airplane, and that has helped a lot. I recommend buying a water bottle, of course. Once you go through security, so that you're able to fill up sippy cups and of course have water for yourself. You want to just have all your snacks and everything easily and readily available. And then this might seem a little odd, but as for diapers, I really recommend the Pampers 360 diapers. I believe they go down in size until like a 4 all the way up to a 6 or maybe even smaller. I've used them for the boys since they were about a size 5, and I honestly wish I found them earlier. And they're kind of like a pull-up style diaper where you don't have to lay your child down to clasp the diaper. And I recommend these because changing tables are not always the cleanest. Of course, I always brought Purell wipes with me and wiped down everything in the bathroom, like if the boys were to lay down on the changing table. But since the boys have gotten older and they stand up on their own and I'm able to use these pull-up style diapers, I found them to be a lot easier at airports because I would just take them into the stall with me and then have them stand there while I pulled the old one off and put the new one on. I didn't have to worry about wiping down the changing table, laying them down on the changing table, just dealing with all of that craziness. I find that the pull-up ones just made it a lot easier for diaper changes. I always change the boys' diaper before we got to the gate, an hour or so before the flight. Our flights have never been super long down to Florida. It's like 3 hours. So then by the time we landed, they were due for a diaper change and I was able to change them once we landed. I've never changed a diaper on an airplane. I never want to change a diaper on an airplane. I don't even know how I would do that if, excuse me, I was flying alone with the boys and had to bring them both in that 2x4 bathroom that's on an airplane. I always just planned diaper changes around before we got on the airplane and after we got off the airplane, and I love the Pampers 360s. So that's basically everything I would do before the flight, you know, once we got through security and everything. Security is always going to be hectic. I personally feel until your child is a little bit older, it's going to be a little bit hectic, especially when you're traveling alone. For me, I had to get both the boys through security alone, and flying down to Florida, I had to do it completely alone. Flying back, my mom got a gate pass and was able to help me through security, but flying down to Florida, I had to take them through security completely myself, and that was crazy because they wanted me to walk through security with one baby at a time, but then I would walk through with one baby and I would have to leave the other baby and then they would freak out, and then it was just crazy. So I don't really have many tips and tricks for security other than, you know, just get through it and on to the next. For me, the whole flying process, whether it was with somebody or by myself, I always just had to tell myself, just get through X. So whether it was just get through checking your bag, and then just get through security, and then just get through getting to the gate, and then just get through boarding the airplane, and then just get through the flight. Like, I just had to think about everything in little blocks of time so that I didn't get super anxious and overwhelmed with the travel process as a whole. So I highly recommend just think about it in stages instead of the entire travel day as a whole. So in flight, how I mastered flying with the boys. Number one thing, snacks, and pack a lot of them. Even though flights offer snacks, you want to pack a lot of snacks. I would say 2 snacks for every hour that you're on an airplane. So our flight was 3 hours. I would pack about 6+ snacks. I would pack all their favorite snacks. I would pack candy, even though, you know, it's not the best. It's whatever's going to get you through that day as quickly and as smoothly as possible. So I packed a lot of snacks. I would get the boys an apple juice on the airplane because that would make them very happy. You know, when they come through with like drinks and refreshments, I would always get an apple juice for the boys. That would make them very happy. Oh, this might seem kind of an odd tidbit, but I did not know this. When you're flying, make sure you have a bottle or sippy cup or something where the lid physically closed. I always brought the boys Think Baby sippy cups that had a lid that would close because the pressure of the airplane is going to push the drink up through the straw. And the first time I didn't close the lid and we were on the airplane and the water started to come back up the straw and squirt out everywhere. So you want to make sure either you don't fill the sippy cup until you're completely in the air, that way it kind of is pressurized to what the airplane is, or if you fill it up before you take off, make sure you let a little bit of pressure out, like unscrew it a little bit and leave the lid closed so that your water isn't squirting out everywhere. I had no idea that this was a thing and I learned that the hard way the first time. So make sure, you know, you adjust for the pressure of the airplane. Okay, so next, iPads. The boys didn't have iPads for the first 2 times we flew. They also were very young. They were about 1.5 years then. So I don't believe that they really needed them at that point in time. What you offer your kid in terms of screen time is completely up to you. But for me, I do give my kids screen time. Anything, like I said, to get through the airplane and get through the flying process, I was willing to do. So iPads, quick, easy games that aren't going to get your kids frustrated. I recommend Homer. I talked about that in 1 or 2 videos back, I think. It's an online learning program for kids ages 2 through 8. It's customized to their skill level. It has games, it has lesson plans, it has imaginative play, It has a bunch of different things within the program. I do have a link for you guys that you can follow. I will link it down below to get a free 30-day trial, I believe. And then after that, I think it's $12.99 a month. But I highly recommend that because the games are super easy. They're very engaging. They're, you know, educational in nature. So if you do feel a little bit bad about screen time, they are educational in nature. So that's great. It's less, you know, guilt invoking if you don't like giving your kids screen time. It's ad-free, everything like that. I highly recommend that. I had like a coloring app for them. Netflix, you can actually download shows onto your Netflix to play when you don't have any Wi-Fi. So I would download a few episodes of Cocomelon because they're about an hour each, and then have the kids sit and watch it just with the volume off. You can get headphones for your kids, but the boys never really minded that the volume wasn't on, and that could kill some time on the airplane. So iPads, easy educational games, highly recommend. I will link Hopper down below for you guys. If you missed that video where I talked about it, I highly recommend checking that out. Pop-its or like fidget toys are amazing because it's very engaging and kind of keeps them, you know, engaged and entertained for quite some time. I think all of ours are from like the dollar store or Target or Amazon. I will link them down below for you guys. I love fidget toys. And books. Books are a super easy thing to keep your kid entertained on an airplane. They can read it, they can flip through, they can look at the pictures, you can read it to them. I think books are an amazing toy to bring on the airplane. So that's kind of how I mastered in flight. Lots of snacks, offering lots of snacks, movies, Cocomelon, TV shows, easy educational games, pop-its, books. And luckily for me, our flights were never super long, 3 hours max, so I never had to worry about it. If you do have a longer flight, of course, you have to worry about napping and everything like that. For me, the boys never slept on a plane. They slept for like 5 minutes when we were landing, when they were sitting in their own seat. When we had the car seats, they would sleep for a little bit, but I think just because it's like out of their element, they never really wanted to nap on an airplane, so I can't really give too many tips or tricks for that. But yeah, the boys never really slept on the airplane. So moving on to essentials overall, things that I think are essential for flying with kids, toddlers, babies. Number one, Purell wipes, especially with the pandemic and COVID and everything like that. Purell wipes are super easy to wipe their hands down, wipe surfaces down, wipe the changing table down, wipe yourself down. Purell wipes. Number two, for me, Homer, iPads, very easy to keep them entertained for quite some time. For lots of snacks, like I said, a nice variety of snacks, maybe even some snacks that they haven't had like ever, because then it's like fresh and new and they want to sit there and eat it. Just making it very exciting and fun for them, the whole flying process. And lastly, an essential. If I can say one thing for this entire video, you need patience and you need grace. Like I said, you need to just think of it of one chunk of time at a time, one small task at a time. Just get through checking your bag, just get through security, just make it to the gate. Think of it in little snippets of time. That takes a lot of the anxiety out of it and kind of keeps you present in the moment. You need to have patience. Your baby may cry, and that's okay. I always felt before I became a mom and you hear a kid crying on an airplane, you know, you're like, do something about it. But now that I'm a mom and I know that sometimes there is nothing you can do about it, you need to just block out everyone around you. It's not like they haven't heard a crying baby before. A lot of the people on the airplane are probably parents or have been parents or are going to be parents and come to the realization that babies cry. Block them out. Focus on yourself, focus on your baby, and it's okay if your baby cries. Don't get like embarrassed or anything. I've also learned that there are still a lot of good people out there who are willing to help. Every time I've flown with the boys, there have been people who have jumped to help us, whether it be carrying the suitcases, getting the babies on the airplane, getting my bags on the airplane. When someone ever said something rude, even if a stewardess said something rude, I've had people stand up for me and say, you know, she's doing the best that she can. This past time flying alone with the boys, both times people have offered to help me get off the airplane. One time because the boys were sleeping and a really kind woman offered to carry one of the boys for me. Someone else offered to carry my bags. People have offered to stand there with me while I waited for my stroller. There are still people out there who are good, and if you see a friendly face, there is no shame in asking for help. You don't have to do it yourself. You don't have to be Wonder Mom. So lean on people around you if they offer to help. There are still good people out there. So have patience, have grace, ask for help, get through it, deep breaths, and it's one day of your life, and then you don't have to think about it again until you have to fly home. Just really give yourself grace, especially if you're flying alone, especially if you're flying alone with multiple kids, twins, anything like that. You will get through it. And I hope my video gave you guys some tips and tricks to help you through the flying process. If there's anything I left out and you have a specific question, please leave it down below. I'll try and get back to all of them. I always try and respond to all my comments, but I'll definitely make sure to respond to these. I will link everything that I talked about down below. I will link some toys, some books, gear, all that kind of stuff. My Amazon storefront's always linked down below, but I'll make a new page. I believe I already have a storefront that has travel needs, but I will update that for you guys. I will link strollers, car seats, everything I talked about down below, I will link for you guys. So if you guys are flying in the future and you need some of these things, or even if you're not flying and you just want to look into something I talked about, I will have it linked down below. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to go now and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.